This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 108 of the Stable Scoop Radio Show on the Horse Radio Network. Life lessons without the blood. Please support our sponsors as they make this show possible.
Our title sponsor is Omega Alpha. You can find them at omegaalpha.ca. This episode is also sponsored by Equestrian Collections at equestriancollections.com. Plus, Uncle Jimmy's brand products. You can find them online at uncle-jimmys.com.
Welcome to the Stable Scoop, with weekly shows delivered right to you. With Helena and Glenn the Geek, live from the stable, it's every week. They bring you the news through hail or high water, while using their tails as their own fly swatters. So sit on down and laugh till you poop, 'cause it's time again for Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop.
This is Glenn the Geek.
And this is Helena B., and you're listening to the Stable Scoop Radio Show on the Horse Radio Network.
Boy, I'm in for it today. I heard the name of this show, and I said, you planned this one, and I'm going, oh, no. Life lessons without the blood. Now, I have had many life lessons with blood, so we're not talking about that today.
Blood, broken bones, dirt, titanium.
Yeah, my wife and I have had a few life lessons like that, for sure.
Yes, well, today's show is going to focus on some of the lessons that we've learned without the bloodletting.
Okay, all right, good. All right, because, I wasn't prepared. I didn't have my my emergency kit here. So we do have a fun show planned today. You lined up a guest for us, but first, before we get to that, we're going to have the Hot Off the Web segment, which we haven't done in a while, with Darcy Lambert's going to join us again and talk to us about some cool pics she has of Facebook fan pages that she likes and she thinks everybody should check out. We've missed having her on here recently.
I know. We got to do that more often.
And so what's the idea of today's show?
Well, because I'm always thinking and you're not, I thought that we could spend a little bit of time. I have learned so much in the last 6 months just from firsthand experiences. And you know me, and I'm just like your wife. Give me a book about horses and I will stick my head in it and not come out until I've read every single word. And I take advice of those who've gone before me. But there's really something to be said for experiencing and learning things firsthand, because you just never know what you're going to learn or what doors are going to open because you decided to just close your eyes and sort of jump.
Well, and we should say, too, that you've had an interesting 6 months. You've moved to a new place, new state, a new kind of culture, really, where you moved to from where you were. You bought a horse and went through that whole process for 16 years of looking.
Right. Exactly.
But, you've had a lot, and now you're building a barn. You've had a lot of things happen. So we'll expound upon those a little bit. And I think that, because you've had a lot of life in the last 6 months.
Yes. And in the last year, yes.
So there was bound to be some lessons along that path.
That's right.
And, my wife and I certainly have had a lot of life in the last 25 years.
But you, too, have also had a lot of changes. You've got Beaker in your lives now. You've got the Horse Radio Network. There's WEG is coming up. You're meeting all kinds of people and creating all kinds of relationships with others in the horse world. I think that we've had so much to learn just from what we've lived, the lives we've lived in the last year.
That's correct. That is true. And we're going to talk about that. And then you have a guest coming up later, too, somebody that you know.
Yes. Nora Harris, who's a professional trainer here in New England. And I love her background. She's got formal equine education, and she's combined that with a professional horse career. And I think she has a very interesting perspective to add to, going from a formal life lessons to firsthand experience, see where she's going.
And she's in her 20s, so she's a younger generation than you and I.
Right.
Certainly me. But she so it's going to be interesting. You've told me a lot about her. I have not spoken to her yet. And you said, she's much wiser than her years. So, that's going to be interesting to chat about that, too.
Yeah, she's in a good position. And I think she represents a lot of what today's upcoming horse professionals can be. I think the days of, the struggling artists, I think the struggling horse professionals, I think those are coming to an end, and Nora represents the possibilities.
And I think she's from what notes you've said and for what you've told me about her and what you and I believe is that you've got to put more effort into being a professional nowadays. You've got to get your certifications if you want to be an instructor. Right. If you want to be serious about this, you have to spend more time being serious about it.
That's right. It's just like any other career now. It's not, being into horses isn't just a side thing anymore.
Yeah, it's not just playing in the barn anymore.
No, it's a viable career.
Yep. All right. So, but first we have a couple of housekeeping notes that we have to go over. And that is, I need to remind everybody about our WEG coverage. The World Equestrian Games is coming up in 16 days. So we need to talk a little bit about what we're doing here at the Horse Radio Network, and we're doing a lot. We have the 2010 radio show, which, of course, is the World Equestrian Games radio show. We've been doing it for 2 years, and we will be doing everyday coverage during the World Equestrian Games. We'll be putting out a show every night. We're recording it at the International Equestrian Festival at 7 o'clock in front of an audience every night.
That's going to be awesome.
I know, and Samantha and I are looking forward to that. Samantha's my co-host, and she probably has, I don't think I'm going to offend Helena. She probably has one of the best voices on the Horse Radio Network.
Oh, she does. Even I love to listen to her.
You can listen to that all day. And she is going to be with me down at the International Equestrian Festival at the Convention Center at 7 o'clock every night, along with some riders and some friends that we're going to drag along to provide a wrap-up show every day. That'll come out about 9 o'clock every night at 2010radioshow.com and all of our affiliate sites. So you'll be able to listen to that wrap-up show every night, and we'll get some coverage from the day. And at the end of every one of those shows, we're going to do something fun because there's a lot of fun things going on beside the competitions at the WEG. And Chris on the eventing, jumping, and dressage radio shows is doing daily coverage during those events. So she's putting out 4 special episodes of each of her shows, and she's going to be actually recording those in front of an audience on stage right in the middle of the All-Tech experience at the World Equestrian Games.
Oh, my God. Well, she has experience doing that stuff in person, doesn't she?
Yeah, and she's going to have an audience. I mean, they're tying her into the sound system at the All-Tech experience. So
I would just choke. Just had a hard enough time at a trade show.
And she'll have, of course, all the top riders on. She knows them all, and they're on her shows all the time. So you can follow those on her websites at eventing, dressage, and jumpingradioshow.com exclusively there. So you can follow that or on any of our affiliate sites as well. So we're going to be doing a multitude of different coverages. If you want to gain some of the atmosphere and flavor and get, the background noise of us being there and us share with you some of what we're experiencing, and really we're going to help you be like you were there. So that's our goal here at the Horse Radio Network. We can do that through sound in a way that you can't do it on a written word. So we're hoping to help accomplish that for you. Also, I wanted to remind you that you can listen to all of our shows on the iPhone app with Hallway Feeds, and that's HALLWAY Feeds. You can look it up on the App Store on the iPhone, and you can stream all of our shows right there. Just the first thing on their app is Horse Radio. Hallway Feeds is a well-known and well-liked feed company here in Lexington, and they have a great iPhone app that it's all kinds of different news from the horse world, and we're one of those things. And so if you want to stream our shows, you can do that on the iPhone. And also, I wanted to mention, Helena, that our other show, Tack and Habit, it's the last week that we're doing 5 products from the ADA International Trade Show.
Yeah, we should call that a marathon.
It was.
Tack and Habit marathon.
It was. So if you want to hear the last 5 products, and then we're going back to 2 products a week starting next week.
Okay. Thank goodness. I'm tired.
Now coming up with the Stable Scoop show, I need to talk a little bit about what we're doing during WEG. We actually have recorded some shows that I had the opportunity to do with some guest co-hosts over the last couple of weeks. So Helena and I will be back with you again next week, sort of with a World Equestrian Games preview show.
But you guys can send me fan mail to make me feel better during my hiatus.
And then after next week, there's going to be 4 weeks of fill-in hosts. But we have some fantastic shows coming up in those 4 weeks. You don't want to miss them.
What am I going to do without the craziness of Stable
I know.
Scoop?
You're going to have a month off of Attack and Habit and Stable Scoop.
All right.
Attack and Habit.
Get my Tookus out to WEG. And
that's right.
Plenty to do.
They'll both be going on. We will not miss a week on any of the shows on the Horse Radio Network. It's just that some of them we had to pre-record, but I guarantee you're going to like them. We had some fun topics, and we had some very famous people on the Stable Scoop show that are coming up as well. So you'll want to tune in for that. And I think that's about all the notes I had here, Helena.
Oh, that would be lovely.
There's just so much going on, you know?
I'm just getting a little tired of listening to you go on and on and on.
All right, let's take a break, and then we'll be back with Darcy with her segment called Hot Off the Web. And this is going to be a little different commercial for us. We had the opportunity while we were at the ADA International Trade Show in Philadelphia a couple weeks ago to have a little bit of a conversation with Dr. Gordon Chang, who is the founder and owner of Omega Alpha, who is our title sponsor. And it was a very interesting conversation that we thought we would share with you here on the Stable Scoop show. So this is about, I think it was about 5 minutes, wasn't it, Helena? And we just found it fascinating. So here is Dr. Chang. Well, we want to welcome Dr. Chang to the show. Dr. Chang is with Omega Alpha. Helena, of course, we know that very well. Dr. Chang is the title sponsor with Omega Alpha of our other radio show, the Stable Scoop radio show. So welcome.
Thank you, Glenn and Helena, for having me here.
Well, it's so much fun, and we're so glad that you can make it down from Canada to all the way to this show.
It's a long drive.
Yeah, I bet it was. I bet it was.
Don't you have a supplement to make that drive go?
Oh, I wish. Or booze.
Yeah, that too.
Except I think there's a problem with driving with it.
Yeah, that usually is an issue, even in the United States.
That's right.
So, yeah, I made a comment earlier that we have a large listener base in Canada. It's our second largest listener base is Canada, a country, and we have had such a good experience with the Canadians being such nice people, and that's the stereotype, and it's a stereotype we think is true. So, whether you agree or not, it doesn't matter. We think it's true. That's right.
Some Canadians.
So now tell us, you had a question for him. We really wanted to get answered. They have a whole line of products. We're really not going to talk about any one particular product today, but you had a question about a line of products.
Well, yeah, because there's so much in the equine supplement and nutraceutical world. One of the buzzwords that keeps coming up, and I really don't know too much about it, is probiotics. What does it mean? What does it do?
Well, Helena and Glenn, probiotics, they're basically what we call good bacteria. Now, to be fair, there's nothing inherently good or bad about a bacteria. Meaning bacteria doesn't go to church, so you don't have good bacteria that way. The reason we call them good bacteria is because the body can handle the waste products produced by these bacteria better than the waste products produced by the so-called bad bacteria. And I put those in quotation marks, okay?
Okay.
Now, for the horse, the bacteria is very important because if it wasn't for bacteria, horses could eat and they would literally starve. Because what bacteria does, it actually helps digest protein down to amino acids, which the horses can then absorb. It breaks down cellulose to simple sugars, which the horses can then absorb.
Okay.
Right. So that's why it's very important for the bacteria.
So this quote-unquote good bacteria takes the amino acids and breaks it down into sugars?
It takes the protein to breaks it down to amino acid.
Right.
It takes like cellulose fibers and breaks it down to sugars.
Okay.
It takes carbohydrates and breaks it down to sugars,
Okay.
which the horse can then absorb.
Okay.
The horse is good at absorption, but it's not good at digesting.
Okay.
All right. Now, the thing about bacteria is that one of the biggest things that people get confused with something called a prebiotic versus a probiotic, right? What prebiotics are basically food to feed bacteria, and that's why it's called a prebiotic.
Okay.
All right. Now, not all probiotics are built equally. Okay.
What's the difference between a prebiotic and a probiotic?
Oh, sorry. A prebiotic is a fiber. Usually, it's like inulin, or also known as FOS, fructooligosaccharides, right?
Okay.
And these are things that the probiotics will feed on. right? Or all bacteria will feed on. And the idea is that if you give prebiotics to your animal, the probiotics will feed on that and will help it to grow.
Okay, so a probiotic is a quote-unquote good bacteria.
That's right.
Okay, I got you.
And that's a major difference. Now, one of the things I will say about probiotics, I mean, everybody thinks about lactobacillus,
Like in yogurt?
acidophilus.
Acidophilus, yeah.
Which you won't find that in yogurt, but they use good bacteria to make yogurt.
Oh,
right?
okay.
No, but the thing about...
See how little I know? I'm so misinformed.
She likes yogurt, though.
Oh, that's good. But what I also tell people, just because they're probiotics, it doesn't make them totally 100% good, because to be fair, if I was to take all the bacteria out of the horse's body and put acidophilus alone in, and so the whole gut is populated only with acidophilus, you will have a very sick horse. And the reason for that is because, yes, the horse's immune system can handle waste products produced by a probiotic, but it can only handle so much. And if you take everything out and just replace it with one type of bacteria, you will be producing, for the sake of images, instead of one bucket full a day, you'll be producing a container load a day. The body can probably handle a wheelbarrow full a day, but if you give it a container load, you'll have a very sick horse.
Okay.
Right. So it all boils down to quantity. Too much of a good thing is not necessarily a good thing.
Okay.
So usually what we suggest is if you're going to feed probiotics to your horse, take a product with a variety of probiotics in there. So it's not just single acidophilus. You know, you have a whole bunch of different probiotics together mixed in.
Okay, so you have a variety.
That's right.
That creates that balance.
That's right. And balance is the key here. But more importantly is when you feed it to your animal, one of the things that people don't realize about probiotics is that probiotics are very fragile. Because as soon as the horse eats it, it hits the stomach first. Well, the problem with hitting the stomach is that there's a huge pool of acid there, and acid kills off probiotics. So what we did at Omega Alpha, we were a little bit smarter. We said, well, we know that's going to kill it off. However, if we add some what we call soluble fiber, right? As soon as the soluble fiber gets wet, it forms like a gelatinous paste. Mm-hmm. So if that gelatinous paste will trap the good probiotics, and it prevents also the acids from attacking the probiotics. So what you'll have happening, you'll have much higher percentage of the probiotics surviving its initial passage through the stomach. Now, as this blob of probiotics enmeshed in fiber moves down the gastrointestinal tract, its motion breaks up that chunk, and so it releases the probiotics all its way along the GI tract, which is a good thing because then you have a higher percentage surviving and implanting along the GI tract.
Okay, so that's where it does its work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think I was
even know what to say.
Wait a minute. I was still stuck on not too much of a good thing is a good thing. So I was wondering if that applies to chocolate.
Chocolate is a good thing, but again...
Oh, don't say it. You're going to ruin my fantasy.
You can't live on it.
Well, Dr. Chang, you have a ton of good products. We talk about them every week over on the Stable Scoop radio show. What's the website?
www.omegaalpha.ca
For Canada?
And it's all in the U.S. It's omegaalphaequine.com.
Okay, that's very good. Well, thank you for joining us and helping to clarify Helena's question
I love
a little bit.
I learned something new.
There we go.
Thank you for having me on again. Thanks.
Our pleasure.
Well, we thank Dr. Chang for joining us, and we appreciate their support of the Stable Scoop show, and we hope that you support them by visiting omegaalpha.com. Well, Helena, it's time for Darcy with Hot Off the Web.
Hey.
Howdy, Darcy. It's been a while.
Hi, how are you guys?
We're good.
We're good.
We haven't had a web update in a long time. You've been busy out there running your barn and doing your thing and training horses?
Yeah, I found some time to play on Facebook last night. I found a couple of new pages.
Well, I noticed some postings on Facebook about midnight or a little after, so you were up late last night.
I was. It was a good night to play on the computer.
So tell us what you found for us cool on Facebook. Darcy comes on and does our Facebook updates on pages that we should follow, Facebook fan pages that we should check out. And you and I, Helena, we have no idea what she's talking about today. So
No, Facebook is so big.
I know.
It's so unbelievably big. If
Even
it wasn't,
since we talked to you last.
yeah, without Darcy's picks, I wouldn't know half of what's out there.
All right. So go ahead. Give us the first one.
What do we got?
All right. The first one is very funny horse bumper stickers.
Oh, there we go.
Oh boy.
That's the name of the page. And I got on here and I played for like 2 hours.
Now we know why she was up till 2 in the morning.
It's so funny and so addicting.
Okay, I'm there. So it's just people that have put up what they've seen on bumper stickers, or tell us the idea.
It's the company that makes all the bumper stickers you see in the feed stores and tack shops.
Okay.
It's that company, Horse Hollow Press.
We interviewed
We
her.
have them, right? Tack and
Yeah,
Habit.
we had her on Tack and Habit a couple weeks ago.
Oh,
June Evers, and
really?
it's Horse Hollow Press. That's correct.
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't
Well,
know
they
she didn't
have-
say she had a Facebook page.
They have a very cool Facebook page. It was founded, well, I guess their business was founded in 1990, and they have 1,866 people that like their page, and they post something every day that's funny, and it's actually a bumper sticker. What they post, you can get in a bumper sticker.
This one's too long for a bumper sticker, but I want to die peacefully in my sleep like my grandfather, not screaming and yelling like the passengers in his car.
They're not all horse related. Most of them are. But if you could just go down through them, are really funny.
Oh, these are funny.
I like this. If you can read this, I've lost my trailer.
This one's me. The voices in my head may not be real, but they have some good ideas.
Yeah, I thought of you when I saw that.
You did?
Yeah.
These are really good.
Yeah, there's some really good ones.
Yeah, Horse Hollow Press. We have, if you guys really want to hear the backstory of Horse Hollow Press, tune into Tack and Habit sometime in the next couple of weeks.
Well, actually, I think we already did that one. Let me look that up quick.
Did we? She might have been the first one.
I think she was on the first one that we did from the ADA International Trade Show, and that was episode 15. And I'm pretty sure I'm taking a look now to see. It's funny you picked her.
That is.
You know, she might not have been on yet. So,
well, that's
keep an
okay.
eye
It's a
on
good
it.
excuse to go and
keep
listen
an
to
eye
Tack
on
and
it.
Habit.
We're going to have her on. Here's another one. Auntie M, hate you. Hate Kansas, taking the dog Dorothy.
Now, one of the people that post on that page, it's an actual page called "Are You Going to Cowboy Up or Lay There and Bleed?"
Yes.
They have some funny stuff on their page too.
These are really
Lord,
good.
if I can't be skinny, let my friends be fat. Oh, that's kind of a funny page there. That's just, I'm just going off into another direction. That's not really my second page.
This one's you, Darcy. Saw it,
What's
wanted it, pitched a fit, got it. That's
Oh,
perfect.
thanks a lot.
I was kind of thinking that was like me, too. So you're in good company, Darcy. No worries.
Did you read the one that says "Out of my mind" back in 5 minutes?
5 minutes. Yeah.
I love it.
I think this one, what I want to know is why can't my human come up with something stupid like Hello Kitty and make millions so I may live in splendor? Where's my agent?
Oh, my.
God.
She
Now,
is
if you
funny.
Go to their, go ahead.
Do you know that all those bumper stickers, and it's true, almost every bumper sticker you'll see in a tack shop is one of hers, and she comes up with all those herself.
Wow.
Yeah, she does. That's right.
amazing.
Do you remember, Helena? She said when they just come to her, you know,
Yeah.
and she doesn't really sit down to think of them; they just come to her.
And when she tries to sit down and think of them, they stink.
Right.
So they do. Right.
Right. We had this one when I grew up. I want to be a dually. We did have that one.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
There's one on the photos page. It says horses are afraid of two things. One, things that move. Two, things that don't.
That would be my horse.
Yeah, you've had a few of those, haven't you, Darcy?
Yeah, I can relate to that.
Well, this is
So
good.
This is very funny horse bumper stickers.
All right, sold. We like it.
Yep.
It's approved.
Okay, good deal.
Okay.
And we'll put
Now,
links
next-
in our show notes at stablescoop.com if you're cleaning stalls now going, I don't remember that. Just go to stablescoop.com in the show notes. And the second
right.
one,
The second one is just called Horse.
just horse.
HORSE.
Oh.
Okay, let's see if I can
Okay.
find that one.
A real pretty picture of a bay, just in a halter.
Oh, wow, I'm not coming up with it.
Oh, I'm coming up with Whistle, Grin, and Ride. Horse.
Hey, Horse Tip Daily. That's one of ours.
Horse and a half blog.
Horse. I found it.
Yes,
With
I
the bay
smell it.
horse with the halter and shank.
Yeah, and it's 28,000 followers.
Wow. That's a nice
Find
photo.
it, Helena?
Yes, I did.
Good.
28,000.
Kind of a neat site. They don't update it very often, but what is on there is really unique.
So why'd you like it? What's unique about it?
Well, they have the upcoming events. They have photos of people's horses, comments. You know you ride horses when almost every afternoon is spent in the barn and you find yourself clicking at your car when stuck in traffic.
Yeah.
There's really unique videos from upper-level shows.
Did you
And
guys
it's just
see the video, the racing video of the wife one?
Mm-mm.
What?
Did you
What are you
see
talking
that one?
about?
The what? The my what? Oh, heck! Now I forget the name of it. Give me a second. It was an actual race, and the two horses had a wife name in them, and this actually happened. I'm looking it up now.
You know what's cool about that? What
very
is
fun.
that? Oh, God. Horse guts. Oh, God. There's
All right.
everything on this site.
Okay, are you guys ready for a little bit of this?
This is actually a really good site.
Take a listen
Okay.
to a little bit of this. This is an actual race that happened at Mammoth Park.
Oh, yes.
Did
I
you
know
hear
you're
this
talking
one?
about. Yes.
Yeah. Did you hear this one, Darcy?
No, I didn't.
Okay. My Wife Knows Everything, it's called. All right. It's coming up here. Hopefully we have some volume. There we go.
As they move for the first turn. On the far outside, Little Miss Macho is going up. After that tardy start all the way up to battle with the leaders. On the lucky side is next. A ground-saving trip for Morningside Heights. Late for class in Miss Tallahassee. Or in the back of the field as Lady Mutada leads the way to the backstretch. And Little Miss Macho is second through a quarter of 24 2/5 seconds. Rojo's Tune third at the rail. And then comes My Wife Knows Everything and The Wife Doesn't Know, followed by Elaine's Hope on the inside.
I'm going to skip towards the end of the race. This is the really funny part here.
My Wife Knows Everything. Center of the track, The Wife Doesn't Know. Into the final furlong. My Wife Knows Everything. The Wife Doesn't Know. They're 1-2. Of course they are. My Wife Knows Everything in front. To the outside, The Wife Doesn't Know. My Wife Knows Everything. The Wife Doesn't Know. My Wife Knows Everything. More than The Wife Doesn't Know. Whew. This Tallahassee was third, and Morningside Heights was fourth. Yeah!
Wow.
Do you think
I
the
love
announcer
it.
had fun with that one?
Oh, yeah. Oh, how funny.
All right, so that's Just Horse. If they look up Just Horse, and we'll put a link to it in our show notes as well. And it has a whole bunch of different links on here, and Helena got quiet, so she's been looking at them.
It's a
great,
really...
like, variety, really.
It is. It's very broad, and they're like fans post their photos up, and they come from all over the world. So there'd be a really nice picture of like a girl jumping, and the description's in Italian.
And what's neat about this one is it looks like it was started by a random person, not a company or anything, because there's nothing on the info page. So obviously they just wanted it to be about horses.
It's really actually good. I thought because it was just so generic, it wouldn't be really interesting. But I could see myself clicking around it till 2:00 in the morning.
All right, I just liked that one.
Great.
All right, Darcy. Well, we appreciate you coming on and giving us these tips on the things we should check out. And I've just liked 2 more. And June will appreciate the plug over there for Horse Hollow Press and her bumper stickers as well.
That's great.
So we
Anytime.
appreciate it. All right. Thanks, Darcy.
Have a
All
great
right,
day.
Take care, guys. You
Okay,
too.
bye.
Bye.
Well, you know what? I love that Darcy comes on because she gives me more stuff to waste my time with.
Yeah.
Although it's not, any horse sites are not a waste of time. And I am so addicted to Facebook. I love it. I love that you can connect and you can share things. That's the best part about Facebook is I'm going to go to these. I'm already a fan of both these Facebook pages, and I'm going to just spread the word to everybody I know.
There you go.
All right. And we're going to take a minute to talk about one of our wonderful sponsors, Uncle Jimmy's Brand
Uncle
Products.
Jimmy.
Woohoo! I love Uncle Jimmy. Regular listeners to the Stable Scoop Show know that Glenn and I absolutely adore Uncle Jimmy and his fantastic line of products. His products have the highest quality ingredients, and that's why they've taken off like they have. Uncle Jimmy's brand products knows that you need to reward your horse outside of his stall. And that's why they developed Uncle Jimmy's Squeezy Buns. Squeezy Buns are all natural and loaded with nutritional ingredients for your horse. Unlike similar products on the market, they're individually wrapped to preserve freshness and eliminate mess. With competitive pricing and Uncle Jimmy's quality guarantee, the Squeezy Buns promise to be a hit among horses and horse lovers alike. And the Squeezy Buns make great pill poppers for those of you.
Stuff your pill in there and you can wrap the Squeezy Bun around it and your horse doesn't even know it's in there.
Pill poppers for those drug-addicted horses out there. I happen to have a huge tub of Squeezy Buns. And the funny thing is my horses love them. They drool. They get a little fresh when they hear the wrapper. That's the only problem with these things is you have to unwrap them far away because the horses love them so much.
And they are very fresh. They're soft.
They're soft.
So that's why you can wrap the pill around them.
You can, and you can, like I use them for training. So I'll break one apart, and then I just sort of squeeze one into a smaller little ball, and I use that for clicker training. And so they're very convenient. Absolutely love them.
Cool.
So you can learn more about all of Uncle Jimmy's products, including Squeezy Buns, at uncle-jimmys.com.
And that's JIMMYS, uncle-jimmys.com. I have to say real quick, remember he gave us the shirts? You got one too. Mm-hmm. It says got balls because he also makes Uncle Jimmy's hanging balls.
Yep.
And on the front it says got balls really big.
Yeah.
And so I've been wearing that out. That gets quite a reaction. People take a double take when you wear a big shirt that says got balls on the front.
Yes, I know. I had to go running out for something. I think maybe to meet Grace at the bus or whatever, and I didn't have any clean clothes, so I threw on my T-shirt, and boy, did I get the hairy eyeball.
And on the back it says Uncle Jimmy's hanging balls real big.
I know.
Yeah.
I said, hey, they're one of our sponsors.
Yeah, we have to wear their shirt.
People said, what kind of business are you in?
All right. Why don't you introduce our next guest?
All right. Our next guest is Nora Harris. She's a trainer and instructor specializing in hunt seat and dressage. She graduated summa cum laude from Virginia Intermont College with a degree in equine studies and a focus on equestrian sports psychology, something that firsthand and that I need.
No comment.
Oh, I am such a freak in the saddle. It's not even funny. Anyway, Nora's intercollegiate experience was extremely successful and extensive. So today she puts her formal education and her experience to good use, helping riders become effective in the saddle and competitive in the arena.
All right. Well, let's get Nora on. Well, hi, Nora, and welcome to the Stable Scoop Show.
Hello, Glenn and Helena. I'm excited.
That's good. And of course, you're up there near Helena, and you two get together at the barn and do things together. So we really appreciate that you could join us today. And we're having such a philosophical conversation today. It's tough for me, by the way, getting all deep and stuff. But now tell us a little bit about your background. You actually, when did you start with horses? And you actually went to college for horse stuff.
Yes. Well, my mother was a riding instructor when she was pregnant with my sister and I. So I was the born in the saddle type, I guess you could say. And in high school, I quit all my other sports and decided I was going to focus on riding. And that led me to pursue my equine studies degree at Virginia Intermont College.
How cool is that? Like, I didn't even know you could go to college for horse stuff back then.
Well, it was a little tricky finding a college back then, but the programs are definitely expanding.
Oh, yeah, there's equine study degrees in a bunch of colleges now.
And Virginia Intermont is a pretty, they've been around, they've had their program for a while, haven't they?
Yes, since it was an all-girls college. So
it wasn't
forever.
all girls when you went there, was it?
No, it was not.
I was going to say that ruins half the fun.
Yeah, right?
I mean, you're going to
most of the fun.
So now you have since then you're like certified with the ARIA, right?
Yes, I am.
The American Riding Instructors Association.
Which I think is awesome. I think every instructor should be certified with that group. You know me and my standards.
In hunt seat and dressage, so I'm double certified at level 2.
Okay,
and that's no easy thing, is it? You've got give us just a brief synopsis of what's required in those programs to get certified to that level.
Well, there's a whole a whole slew of tests that you have to take, one of which is making an actual video of you teaching a riding lesson. You have to do an oral speech. You have to take horsemanship tests. I had to take dressage and hunt seat tests. And you have to score above 90% to pass those tests. So there's no squeaking by with a C.
Right.
You really have to know what you're doing. And also a safety test, too. Big safety standards for them. So it was tough, but I was in school for it, so a lot of it was fresh on my mind. And obviously I was used to taking tests, so that makes it a little easier, too, to pass that. So
now you actually worked with a pretty well-known rider out there. Tell us about that.
Well, when I graduated college, I was working part-time down in Bristol, Virginia, at a breeding farm, and also shift managing at Starbucks. So really putting my equine studies degree to work. And I got the opportunity to ride for Leslie Burr Howard in Connecticut.
Oh, cool.
So I had to send her a riding video so she could see my style, my skill, and she asked me to come up, and I was there for almost 2 years. I worked for her.
Only an Olympian, we might mention.
Only gold and silver medals for her.
And me.
So how is it now? You're doing hunt, seat, and dressage, yet you rode for an Olympic jumper.
Well, jumpers falls into the category of hunt seat,
Well, I
would
guess
say.
it does. Yeah,
And I would say I wouldn't be jumping those fences without a little dressage background either.
That's true.
You definitely have to know your flat work to build a hind end that can power over a 5-foot plus 6-foot wide oxer. It's pretty intimidating stuff.
All right, so now I have some questions for you that really where we get into our philosophical discussion today, and our topic and our title of the show today was Life Lessons. Now, you went to college for equine studies. Where does that take you after you get out of college? Because there's a lot of people that joke about that particular degree, in that you will be working at Starbucks when you get done, because what can you do with it? So, in looking back now, you've made a career, but you had your time at Starbucks. Do you recommend the college route and that equine studies route? So, just tell us what you think.
There has to be a balance between education and experience. It's like any other career avenue. You have to know your books. You have to know the science of horses, how their bodies work, farrier science, and also the behavioral aspects of working with horses. But obviously, you need the life experience. You can't just read a book and go out and ride a horse. It doesn't really work that way. Nor can you just read a book and go out and teach riding lessons. So
right.
I was fortunate enough to have grown up with horses, so I had a strong background, and I was taught correctly as a child, thank goodness. So I had a background going into the program, which helped with the hands-on part of the program. And then I got the science behind what I was doing, which really makes it all come full circle.
Was there ever a point during college or after that you said to yourself, I should have done a different major?
I'm going to pause here and think about this.
It's one of those shows again.
See,
We're making our guests think.
If Helena's going to make me think, then you have to think too.
Yes,
it only happens once a year, so bear with us. Yes and no?
Yes and no. It's easy to get burned out doing horses. It's very physically demanding. It's very mentally challenging, and there's a lot of responsibility involved. It's not like I just go home and forget about the horses.
You take it with
you? I never regretted it, and that I know now this is obviously what I was meant to do. There's
Right.
nothing else out there for me, I don't think. I tried working at a bank after Leslie's. I was totally burned out, and I tried the 9 to 5, air conditioning, heat. It all sounds very glamorous, but it's so boring.
Especially when you live in Rhode Island. The heat
So
part.
boring. It took me 4 months to go back to horses.
That's not a
that
long
really
time.
solidified it for me. Yeah.
So what? So you know that this is what you're destined to do. I'm sure that going into college and even just coming out, you had ideas and maybe hopes and dreams and aspirations, and then suddenly the real world hits, and you find yourself having to be creative in making a living. Because at the end of the day, no matter what degree you have to be creative to make money in horses. So you got back into horses. And then how did you get back into it? And then from there, how did you get to where you are today? And tell us what you are doing today.
Well, when I decided I was done at the bank, I found a local barn and went to work for a well-known trainer in the area. And then I met Helena.
Then all downhill from there.
Well, there's a lot of different ways to go about running a horse business and caring for horses and working with the people, the clients, and your coworkers. And there's not a lot of regulation on it in this business. And I knew right away at that barn that it was not going the way I wanted it to go. I'll leave it at that. So I knew that I wanted to branch out from there. And found myself a position here in Tiverton as head trainer. So I really had the opportunity to put what I've learned from school and what I've learned from my experiences, what I've learned from the good trainers that I've worked with, and apply that to my very own program, just the way I like it.
So you're responsible for your program, and clearly you have more control over it, so things are going the way you want for the most part. What do you find, what are your biggest challenges? What are your top 2 biggest challenges now that you have control over your own program? And what do you learn from them?
My biggest challenge right now is time management. It sounds very simple, but a horse farm is a very social place for people. So I have a lot of social time, so it's hard for me to stay on task. You know, I may have 5 horses to ride in a 6-hour period, and I really have to stay focused to get all of that done.
You know, it's funny you say that, because we had the same experience when we were running a very large boarding stable. We had like 25 horses there at one point. And we just had to say to people, you know, if you want to talk to us, you have to walk along. You know, we're going to clean the stalls. We're going to be riding horses. You have to come along. And you almost get to the point where you just have to be, this is the way it is. You want to chat, you have to follow along. Otherwise, you're right. You don't get it done.
Right. It's diplomacy. I mean, do they teach you those types of diplomatic skills in school?
That's one area that I really wasn't prepared for. Time management with doing homework, with riding on the teams, with socializing, planning all that out, and making that happen at school was one thing. But here, I really get pulled away from the work on a regular basis. So it's definitely one thing that I didn't get prepped for.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing too, because it's you want to provide customer service, which in the horse world is sometimes just chatting. It's just having a social conversation is really a way to develop and build your relationships with your clients. But it's such a fine line where you have to say, I'm sorry, but I have to get back to work.
Well, and I think the line, though, I think what happens, and this is where you probably find you're going, Nora, is that you get better at working and chatting at the same time.
Right.
When you're done with that task, when you're done with that student and they still want to talk, you're saddling up your horse and you're getting ready to go out to ride one of yours, or you're getting the horse ready for the next one, or whatever it is. Are you getting better at doing both?
What I'm getting better at, I can always ride and talk. I can work and talk. What I'm getting better at is making sure that what I'm talking about is horse related and not people related.
And not where we drank last night.
Or who's doing this and who's doing that, and trying to keep people focused. If you want to talk to me, let me teach you something while I'm tacking up my horse, not talk about who was riding where and selling what horse, and trying to keep the gossip low and the information high.
Oh, there's no gossip ever at Barnes.
I know.
Well, I have to say, and to Nora's credit, she has a remarkably drama-free program. The students there are, even the new students, I mean, everybody's very, very polite and warm and friendly to one another, very supportive. When one student competes, most of the rest of us come out to support them. That's no easy task, especially in New England.
Yeah.
I was going to add this, especially in New England. But
we're all really catty because we're miserable as soon as summer ends, Uh-oh, winter's coming.
I just saw a report. I think I mentioned this before, Helena. I just saw a report the other day that the most miserable people in any state, this just came out, was Rhode Island.
You're kidding.
They're ranked the most miserable people of any state.
No. It's funny because I was talking to a mortgage specialist the other day, and she helped us get our mortgage when we moved to Rhode Island. And she said, well, how do you like Rhode Island? And I said, well, I really like Little Compton. And she laughed. She laughed. And she said, yeah, that's about, Rhode Island isn't really on the top of most people's lists. But where we are, we're sort of in no man's land. We're not quite part of Rhode Island because we're so separate from the rest of the state. We're separated by so much water. And yet we're not part of Massachusetts, yet we're geographically more connected to Massachusetts than Rhode Island. So I'm not surprised to hear that folks in Rhode Island are a little troubled.
That's why you want me to move to Little Compton.
There you go. See, it's the one little place of heaven in Rhode Island.
But no, Newport is amazing.
Oh, you live in Newport?
I live in Newport, yes.
Really? Yeah. Oh, Newport's one of my favorite places.
Yeah. If I didn't have horses or animals, Newport's definitely the place I would go.
Last time we were in Newport, now, see, this is my ADD kicking in, but who cares? It's my show. So the other day, or the last time we were in Newport was during one of the they had that big Italian festival every year.
Oh.
And have you been to it yet, Nora?
I've not been to the Italian festival. Is that at the Yachting Center?
Yes, and it's just the food and the music and that's one of the weekends you don't want to go into Newport because you just can't drive.
Well, wait, when is that? Is it in the fall?
I'd have to look it up. I'll look it up while we're chatting.
I'll look it up because I want to go.
Maybe it was fun. Oh, it was fun. We had a great time there. But then, everything you drive around Newport and see the houses and do all that. It's just fun. And now that you don't have to take a boat to get to Newport, which you used to have to do.
Well, maybe in your day, Grandpa. I don't know. As long as I've been around, there have been bridges.
It's true, though. They used to have to take a boat to get there.
Oh, bro. All right. So let's steer Glenn back to the conversation here. So now we have. So here you are. You are running your own program. You're much, much happier because things are going the way. For the most part, the way you expect them to. And one of the things that I've learned in meeting other horse professionals is that nobody's ever really happy until they work for themselves. Until they I want to do it my way, and that's the best way. And that's okay, even if there are 10 different ways. Okay, so here's a point that I think is sort of important to talk about. The upcoming generation of horse professionals, one of the things that I've found is that these pros, as they call themselves, they want to go right to the top with their business. They want to run their own farm. They want to have their own programs. They want to do it the way they know. They don't want to work for anybody else, and yet they don't want to spend the time to put in their dues. Now, what I like about Nora is that you not only spent the time on your education, but you spent the time. You devoted your time to certification programs that worked in conjunction with your education. You went to work at Starbucks. You went to work for Leslie. You worked in a bank. So you paid your dues in different ways, which I think helped prepare you to be your own boss. What do you think about that sort of conundrum, those who want to go right to the top and own their own business or run their own program without actually having that entry-level experience?
Well, that's a little bit of the problem with this industry, is that there's no one to stop you from going ahead and opening your own barn and buying your own horses and running your own program.
Right.
So in my experience, I would never be able to do this if I hadn't gone to college, if I hadn't worked for Leslie, if I hadn't worked for the other trainer teaching lessons in the area. I would have no idea what I'm doing.
That doesn't mean you couldn't do it. It just means you wouldn't be successful at it.
Yes, the horses wouldn't be well, the riders wouldn't be happy, and the barn wouldn't be making money. And I think that's why a lot of barns fail, particularly in the economic struggle. If you're not taking good care of the horses and you're not taking good care of your clients, you're just not going to make any money. And yes, I love horses, but I also have to make a living. And I wouldn't be able to do this without those experiences. So you just can't take the shortcut in the long run. Shortcut doesn't work.
Nope. So what's next for you, do you think?
What's next for me? Well, I am beginning my master's degree in equine science.
Love it.
Which is very exciting for me because I am a nerd and I love school.
You're not a nerd. School is cool, man.
School is cool. That's what I tell all my kids. So I'm very excited to start that. I'm a little nervous that it will be a lot on my plate for the winter. But I think overall it's only going to make me better at what I do and make me more knowledgeable about the horses and how to take better care of them and all that good stuff. And hopefully that will take me in the direction of more collegiate teaching is really where I want to go. I don't want to slave away in the barn for 10 hours every day for the next 30 years.
Okay.
I would like to work smarter. So I really want to work in a college and teach in the kind of program that I learned in and help guide more young professionals in a positive direction for this business and not a negative one.
I love it. I love where the horse industry is going. If we can get more folks like you out there, and you have a hand in creating more folks like you, I think we'll be heading in the right direction.
I agree. I think that the industry is a little slack. I think that that horses deserve to be cared for better, and all riders should be safer. And I want to be a part of creating that environment, creating a higher demand for educated professionals.
Well, I think we should just leave it at that. Right there. Thank you, Nora. We appreciate you being on. In the meantime, because I'm all about food, I looked it up, and you both need to get together and go to the Festa Italiana in downtown Newport on October 9th through 11th.
Oh, perfect.
So, and get there early, and I hope you know a secret to parking, because that's the biggest problem we had. But
she lives there. So.
Oh, it's great. You can probably walk there.
Park in my driveway, and we'll walk downtown.
Oh, it's fun. It's a great time, and the food's good, and we just had a blast. They have entertainment and bands going the whole time. It was fun.
Well, that's on my calendar. It's
there
official.
You go. Well, thank you, Nora. We appreciate you being on with us.
Well, thank you. It was fun.
Well, that was great. She was everything you said she would be.
Yeah, I know. When somebody like that comes along, you want to grab them and just hold on to them and get them out in the world.
And you're right. At her age, I mean, she has learned some life lessons along the way. She's very mature for her age, and it's good to see. I mean, I was thrilled to talk to her.
And she has such a kind, effective way of working with horses and people of all ages. I've never met anybody so adaptable to different personalities, both equine personalities and human personalities. I think she's a very talented individual.
And she lives in Newport.
I know. How cool is that? Honestly, the next time, Jen, you guys come out, we got to do a day in Newport. It's such a fun little city.
Oh, we love Newport.
Yeah.
We went there on our honeymoon.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we went to Newport, Rhode Island on our honeymoon, saw the houses, saw the little houses that were there.
Oh, they're adorable.
And we just spent some time in Newport. We absolutely loved it. Then we went over to the aquarium and did all of that. Yeah,
we've not been there yet. We have to take Gracie there. She'll love it.
Oh yeah, for sure. All right, let's take a break here for Equestrian Collections and talk about their fantastic new shipping program. Equestrian Collections is a true innovator in the retail horse world, and they have done it again, this time with their new shipping program. It's called their Unlimited Shipping Program, and there are 2 options, and you can choose the one that's best for you. It's simple. Pay only $34.95 one time a year and get unlimited one-way shipping to you from Equestrian Collections. You heard right. Pay only $34.95 once a year for unlimited shipments. The second option is only $15 more. You pay only $49.95 for unlimited two-way shipping. That means even your returns will be covered. That's unlimited shipping both ways for as little as 15 cents a day. Think about it. Even if you ordered every day, you won't pay any more for those shipments. Now that's an innovative company at equestriancollections.com.
So we've got some life lessons that we've talked about today. We clearly we've had Nora's, but you also have a new person in your life, because I refer to horses as people. Beaker.
Yes, and it's been interesting because Beaker is a quarter horse that's been there, done that on the trail. He's been ridden Western, he neck reins, and we've had, and my wife and I are just absolutely loving having a horse you can sit on and you can just ride. You don't have to think about it, you don't have to train the horse, you just ride. But it's been interesting because we've had some friends riding the horse that come over and want to go for a ride. So we'll take one of the other horses at the barn, and Beaker's safe for anybody, so you just throw him up on Beaker.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is that people have a tendency to want to fix him, to want to train him when they ride him. And it's been interesting to see my wife's reaction to this has been, I don't want him trained. I like him just the way he is. But yet we get so conditioned to always be wanting to train the horse.
Right.
Especially if you're competitive and if that's the way you've been. And she was that way too.
Yeah.
But it's interesting how things change now. We're just both happy just riding, just getting on, sitting there and riding.
And letting the horse be the horse,
exactly.
Not trying to change anything. I know.
Exactly. And that's interesting. I think that's been the most interesting thing that we've seen happen around having this particular new horse is, at some point she just wants to go, stop trying to fix the horse. He's fine. He's fine. He neck reins. You just let him neck rein. He canters with his head up in the air like a giraffe. That's fine.
She did say that.
It's just one of those things where we really don't want to train this horse anymore. We just want to enjoy the horse. And I think you do get to that point in your life where you're like, okay, I just want to have one I can ride.
Right. I just want to have fun. I don't want to do anything when I'm up there. I just want to go up and have fun. And he probably does. He's probably very happy riding around like a giraffe.
He is. You ride him on a loose rein. You neck rein him because he really doesn't steer. So, you neck rein him. He steers just fine. You just can't use, you just don't use two hands, And then, if you're an English rider and you go, you just have to sit back and go, this is easier anyway. So
right.
Why
That's a huge lesson.
That's
a huge lesson, especially one to have without blood and gut spillage.
Well, he's teaching us to relax and just enjoy the ride instead of trying to work all the time.
Yes.
Wow. And because you're a little bit that way too.
I'm very much that way.
Yeah, you're a worker. Sitting on the horse, I have to be doing something,
Oh, yeah. That's why I'm dying to get back out on the trails, just when I don't have to do anything and just chill.
Yes.
Let him take over.
And you're going to have, you want to get into endurance, and you're going to have to, there's a fine line when you're doing endurance between that work, and somewhat enjoying the ride, because you can't go 100 miles without enjoying a little bit.
Well, I used to say I had, when I first started riding, I had a trainer she was a ring rider. She jumpers and dressage, and she never really got out of the ring. And she couldn't understand why I loved fox hunting so much. And I used to say, one of the things that I appreciate the most, one of the things that I learned through fox hunting was that sometimes you make the decisions and sometimes you have to let your horse make the decisions out there. You have to be willing to trust your animal to pick the right path through something, pick his footing, understand when he needs to step on the gas pedal, and you have to go along for the ride. And she could never understand the concept of letting your horse make a couple of those decisions. The human always had to be in control.
Right.
And, it's the same thing with endurance rides. Or anytime it's like you sit down and what motivates you on any given day? You sit on your horse and you just want to go and chill out. You have to learn how to do that.
Well, and I could tell you now, Jennifer's never going to let you ride a horse.
But no, that's just it. Is that Beaker's exactly the kind of horse I need to sit on.
Yeah, and just need to enjoy. And you
fun.
do, because you don't have to do anything. You just sit there and enjoy the scenery and enjoy the ride. And now you've had a lot go on. We talked about it at the top of the show.
Yes.
You've had a lot go on in the last year. What have you taken away from the last year?
Probably the greatest lesson that I've learned is why wait? Why wait and put off until tomorrow what you can do today? For a long time, I didn't know if I wanted to get another horse. For a long time, I didn't know if I wanted to have my horses at home. I thought I did, but I was too afraid to actually go after it. And you know what? I asked my family to pick up and move to a whole new state and change their lives completely. And even me, I changed my life completely. And I'm so glad that I did, because there's this cliche that I now fully believe in, which is that when one door closes, another one opens. And you never know what's going to be on the other side of that door, what wonderful adventures might be out there until you open the door, until you actually do it.
You wouldn't have met Nora.
I wouldn't have met Nora, who has totally changed my life. I wouldn't have, I'm building a barn, and I'm going to keep my horses at home. I'm scared out of my mind because...
That's partly the OCD, everybody.
It is partly the OCD. Yeah. My horses will probably just be fine. But, and then can you afford it? Can I actually afford to build a barn and keep my horses at home? Can I afford 2 horses? Hell no.
I was going to say, I don't think anybody can, but we do it anyway.
But you can get creative about, cutting your costs and keeping.
You can get creative about which jelly and peanut butter you buy.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. But it's, I could have waited until I was dead before I did any of these things. And sometimes you just have to close your eyes and jump.
Well, it's sort of, I think it goes along with the good analogy there is having kids. If you wait till you have money to have kids, you're never going to have kids.
Or you wait until you're ready. Wait till you're ready to have kids, you're never going to have them. You wait till you're ready to have a horse, you're never going to have one.
We have our friend down here who has 10 children. If she didn't have money to have 10 children, but they get by. They do it.
And it's happy. There's something to be said for putting away, saving your money and putting things away for your retirement and when you get older. And, I'm not saying that you want to completely abandon your long-term plans. What I'm saying is that some people, me included, will put off those things because you never quite have the confidence or you never quite feel ready. And sometimes the only way to get ready is to live it.
Right.
Did I go out looking for an Arab saddlebred cross? No way. I wanted a quiet, kick along, plug. And now I get a spooky, high-headed, totally athletic Arab cross, who I love and is teaching me things about myself I would not have learned otherwise. So, again, that's one of those life lessons. Knock on wood, we haven't had any blood spillage yet. Although he did kick me in the guts last week.
Yeah, what? I saw your Facebook post.
Yeah, I got in the way. It was an accident. Thank God.
Kicked out at some flies or something?
He was kicking at his belly. When we walk from the barn out into the sunlight, he gets attacked by flies, and he's got a very, very sensitive abdominal area. So
and your flies in Rhode Island also were ranked as the nastiest in all 50 states.
Yeah.
So
thanks a lot. Yeah. So anyway, he was kicking at his belly, and it just so happened I was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and he nailed me with not his hoof, but his pastern, and he got me in the ribs and the guts.
Oh, you're lucky you didn't have broken ribs.
You're not kidding. And Again, well, that was, I can't quite say there was blood, but there was some bruising.
I bet there was.
Bruising. But we're not talking about that kind of lesson today.
No, we can tell you all the blood stories you want between my wife and I over the years with the horses.
We've had plenty of those. Actually, one of the carpenters who's building my barns was talking about his girlfriend and his daughter went out riding in a field the other day on two mares who hadn't been ridden in 7 months. And neither of them are really solid riders. And, of course, they kicked off at a gallop. And, they ate some dirt. So I said, that's awful. And he looked at me, he said, have you ever fallen off?
No, never.
I started howling. I said, how much time do you have?
So do you think, we've asked this of our guests, and I'm going to ask this of you, because it kind of goes along with what we're talking about today and a little bit about what Nora said. Do you think that as a whole, the horse community is more educated than it was in the past, or do you think that things are about the same and they always will be about the same?
I think it is more educated than it has been in the past for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think that that equestrian sports are evolving and slowly making their way into the American mainstream. So there's more discussion about horses as, and equestrianism as a sport. Number two, I think with the internet, with even like the Chronicle of the Horse forums, the discussions that go on there, with Facebook, with all the online chat rooms that have to do with horses and the sharing of information, I think people are starting to get on the same page about what works and what doesn't work when it comes to horses. So I think that is adding to the collective education of horse enthusiasts all over the world.
Well, I think, too, that the internet has done a lot for that because it's just easier to consume and to find information about horses and training and everything that you're dealing with your horses and feeding and all of that. It's just so much easier to do now that you have the internet than it was years ago when you had to buy expensive books and videos and, VCR tapes and things like that.
Well, the
magazines, were the only place you could get it, actually.
Or your trainer, which presented a very one-sided view of life. And I think probably the greatest benefit that the internet has given to me personally, and perhaps others out there, is that, because there are so many different opinions and perspectives on, I say this all the time, you ask the same question of 10 different horse people and you're going to get 10 different answers. One of the things that I look for in an area that I don't know much about when it comes to horses is consensus. So I'll go up and I'll Google something and I'll find an answer. And then if I find that same answer 2, 3, 4 more times, I know that there's consensus and there's something more to that answer. That it's not just one person's answer, that it's usually a generally accepted answer to my question. So the internet is great for finding consensus on a particular horse problem or solution or advice. And you can do it in under 20 seconds.
And, that's something, too, that we try and do here at the Horse Radio Network is bring you a variety of things. Mm-hmm. It's up to you to decide. We've had guests on here that we don't agree with, but we had them on, and we've asked them the questions and, we've been kind and considerate. And yet I may not agree with them, but we offer that out there. We offer what they're saying as an option for you to investigate, and it's up to you to do the investigation further than that and decide whether you agree with them or not.
And there is something to be learned from listening to them.
Right.
And that thing that you learn might just be that you disagree with them.
And I've made some friends here. We've made a lot of friends on the Horse Radio Network. And the Horse Radio Network, one of the things you talked about this top of the show, too, the Horse Radio Network's been something new for us over the last 2 years. One of the things that we've learned is that, there are all these silos and divisions within the horse world. There's like 50 different separate pieces of the horse world, and nobody ever seemed to talk to each other before. I think the internet's bringing people to those silos and those groups together like it never has before.
Right.
And shows and entertainment like the Horse Radio Network is even helping that further along. And of course, that's one of our goals here. Our mission statement is uniting the horse world one show at a time. And I think that this show really leads that. we're kind of leading the way to doing that, and we've made so many friends. And I don't agree with all of them, and I don't have to.
Right.
You know, I'm still friends with them, and they're friends with us, and we don't all have to agree. We don't have to all agree politically or religiously or when it comes to our horses. And you may train a little bit different than I do, but we all have that common. We all have that common thread and that common goal, and that's to own horses, take good care of them, and enjoy them.
And we're listening. And I think the Horse Radio Network has made it easy to listen. And that's, you know, having a closed ears and closed mind to things that are different from what you know was a huge stumbling block to everything as far as I'm concerned. You know, understanding people who are different than you, it creates compassion. And it creates brotherly love, and it creates peace. When you don't understand something, you tend to shut it out, and you're defensive about it. But when people listen, they hear things that make them understand. Again, you don't have to agree with everything, but I think it creates a more unified horse world.
Right.
People are more open. You know, you say, oh, I listened to this show. I listened to the Western radio show, and I learned things about Western riding and Western disciplines that I never even knew about before. So what does that do to that person listening? That encourages them to listen again to something that they've never heard before. And so now you've got a more open mind. And who knows what that can bring.
Yep. Well, and on that, I think we're going to end today's show because we've just plain run out of time.
Yeah, see, I got you all serious and
I know, and I'm just got a headache over here, Helena. I think next week we should go back to Goofy because...
You know what's good for headaches?
What's that?
Food.
I know, and I'm thinking about that. All right, thank you, Helena. This has been a good show, and I have enjoyed it. And, of course, I enjoy all the time that you and I spend together. And everybody can find our show notes and links from today's show at stablescoop.com, and they can leave us feedback on the contact link there on the website as well. Tell us what you've learned in the last year with your horses. Drop us an email. We'd love to hear from you. You can also follow us on Twitter at Horse Radio, and Helena at...
Helena_BEE.
We want to thank all of our sponsors for being part of today's show and really making this all possible. You can visit all the shows on the network, all 8 of them now, at horseradionetwork.com. Well, that's about it, Helena. We'll be back again next week.
With some kind of scoop.